I'm sure many of us have heard the phrase to get ahead before. Whether that be about school, work, or personal projects, it's a phrase that I have often puzzled over, and admittedly had many fights with my parents over. When I was in elementary school, my parents were always telling me to spend less time on the internet and more time getting ahead. Getting ahead of what? Of who? And why? I always wondered. Being a 10 or 12-year-old who wasn't doing badly academically in school, I didn't want to spend time looking ahead in the textbooks. I wanted to watch YouTube or play games. But 5 years later, I'm starting to realize just how precious and limited time really is. And by realize, I mean constantly stress over. As someone who is about to be 16 and is preparing to enter adulthood or the real world, the shackles of time are ever tightening. I am a worrier. I am easily stressed about anything and everything. And one of the things that is constantly bugging me is, well, the passing of time. I stress about the work I have to finish, yet I procrastinate. And if I sit down and do 3 hours of homework, I will then think, ah, darn, I could have done more. Or, how is it so late already? Despite being productive, I always feel as if I have lost on the trade off between things done and time passed. Recently, I've been comparing how I have been feeling to a race against time. And although that is a phrase that is also very commonly used, I feel the weight of that second hand ticking by all too strongly. And being a mere mortal, I am definitely losing the immortality of time. And for the longest time, I thought that society had made it so that you spend all of your youth working and struggling to provide for you and for your family, only then to retire, with no time left to enjoy or travel during the age in which you have the most dreams and have the most energy. I have been so caught up in trying to finish work while simultaneously trying to relax that not only have I failed to enjoy the days that have gone by, but I've also failed to recognize the work that I have completed and done wonderfully on as well. I have been rushing to get things done. I have been torturing myself with thoughts of the future. And I have somehow convinced myself that I am falling behind, that time is slipping through my fingers. Even when I'm not working and am just playing video games, I have to have an audiobook running so I can convince myself that I am not wasting time. I am the type of person that cries on New Year's instead of celebrating. And I am the type of person that always regrets not choosing the other option when faced with a decision. And I am the person that, even when realizing all of these issues, I still feel powerless to change any of them. For the longest time, I had the darkest cloud over my head. But quarantine has given me a lot of time to ponder my view on society and my view on my reality. It has also blurred my days together and made me more stressed, but that was only in the beginning. Despite taking fewer classes and technically doing fewer things, and definitely being lazier, I'm very grateful to be able to say that somehow in my little bubble, I have occasionally been able to find peace. So perhaps it was the pressure of the constant need to get ahead. Or perhaps it was watching my peers achieve things that I haven't even begun imagine trying. Either way, my perception of time has become twisted. And only through deep thinking sessions while staring blankly up at my ceiling at 3 a.m. have I been able to see things just a little bit clearer. Perhaps my race with time was not a fair one. Perhaps it was me who was dangling time in front of myself metaphorically on a stick, wanting to reach for it, but not quite being able to. So what would happen if I were to just stop running? What would happen if I were to just stop the race? Well, time obviously would not literally stop, but would I feel more at ease? I'm honestly not too sure, but perhaps it is worth a shot. And as an audience, if I could give you one piece of advice, I would say try to look at things from a different perspective. Us teenagers, and maybe even as young adults, try so hard and spend so much time in trying to gain others' approval and trying to feel validated and trying to get ahead. But perhaps the only person who can validate you is yourself. And as cliche as it sounds, this is your life to live, your book to write. So try and not let the pressure get to you too much, and try to enjoy the time that you do have.